Perhaps the team with the best shot to take down the Indiana Hoosiers was Johnny Orr's Michigan Wolverines. Johnny Orr welcomed point guard Ricky Green to the Maize and Blue.
Ricky Green was speed. He was a great ball handler. He could move that ball up and down the court faster than anybody I think I've ever seen in Michigan history.
He had the big fro, the mustache. This is the 70s, all part of the zeitgeist of the era. He had something called the Ricky Green finger roll, which every kid in Ann Arbor could imitate for years.
Green's blazing speed would be complemented inside by another prized recruit, freshman forward Phil Hubbard.
Phil Hubbard might have been the greatest rebounder Michigan ever had. Great forward, understood everything about the game.
He was a phenomenon that Michigan had not seen in a long time. That big a guy, that agile, not thick, but had great feet and great hands. So a very hard guy to stop.
If Indiana embodied the intensity of Coach Knight, Michigan mirrored the personality of their easygoing head coach, Johnny Orr.
Coach Orr's coaching style was a little freer. His teams played a little more freer basketball. They didn't play quite the structure that Coach Knight's teams played with, but you knew you were in for a ball game every time you went up against a Johnny Orr coach team.
Our style of play was we pressed you every time we had a chance. Anytime made free throw, made basket, anything, we pressed all over the floor at that time.
The affable Orr taught an up-tempo style of basketball, and his teams played loose and ran the fast break as well as any team in the Big Ten.
Johnny Orr was one of those once-in-a-lifetime coaches. He was funny, he was dynamic, he was fun to be around, and he loved to have his teams run up and down the court, and he loved to have them score.
His teams were very good defensively. They were deep. They liked to press. They liked to run.
I just thought that Coach Orr was the perfect fit for us, because he made it easy for us.
Michigan flexed its muscle early, winning 6 of their first 8 games. After a win at Northwestern, Indiana took their #1 ranking to Ann Arbor to meet 8-2 Michigan, ranked 19th in the country. 16 straight points early in the game set the pace for the Hoosiers, who withstood a late Michigan run to win it 80-74.
Our team, they would bounce back from something like that. It wasn't they would be depressed or anything like that. And the way we played, we played so fast and ran so much and everything, didn't get much time to think.
The Wolverines had little time to dwell on the loss, as Ohio State came to Chrysler Arena later that week.
Growing up in Ohio, I thought I was going to go to Ohio State and somehow end up at Michigan, but I took heat for a while.
Michigan needed a win to keep pace with Indiana, but Ohio State, led by legendary coach Fred Taylor, came ready to play. With the score deadlocked at 37 at halftime, the Wolverines turned on the speed in the second half. This Steve Grody putback gave Michigan a 65-56 lead with 8 minutes left. Grody's 16 points were the catalyst for Michigan as the Wolverines hung on for an 84-81 win.
Steve Grody probably should have been a football player. He might have been one of the toughest players that you would ever see on a basketball court.
No fear. He wasn't afraid to take a shot when it needed it or guard the best guy all the time. He always wanted to do something to really help the team.
If the loss taught Johnny Orr's team anything, it was that the Wolverines could play with any team, not just in the Big Ten, but in the entire country. Michigan bounced back 2 days later against Ohio State. The Buckeyes gave the Wolverines a battle a month prior, not the case this time around. As the Big Ten season wound down, Michigan had found its stride against the Buckeyes, and a 20-point performance by senior Wayman Britt showed that the veteran role player wasn't just along for the ride.
Wayman Britt, of course, in his 4th year at the varsity level, 6'2" forward, just shut people down defensively.
Ricky Green's 23 points and 9 rebounds led Michigan to a convincing 90-66 win over the Buckeyes. For their second-place finish in the Big Ten, Michigan received an at-large bid to the Midwest region. Michigan's trip to the NCAAs was almost short-lived, as Johnny Orr's squad fell behind early to Wichita State in the first round.
We were never ahead of Wichita State in the entire game. They got off to a good start, and we trailed them the entire game.
Ricky Green rallied the Maize and Blue, who won in the final seconds over Wichita State 74-73.
Ricky was not a prolific perimeter shooter. He did hit a 20-footer, thank goodness, at that point with 6 seconds left.
And Ricky scored with almost time expiring on the clock. And man, I woke up the next day feeling like we'd almost lost. We did nothing statistically to win that game.